Okay, it's a reality show. Okay, I remember this one now. The reality of property. Okay, yeah, okay. I remember this. Okay, so it's a reality show. And actually, this is actually a pretty decent show, actually, a pretty decent idea for a show, I think. And once again, though, the mission statement, I just want to emphasize it's the mission of the show, right? What's it going to do? So in this case, the audience will get a behind the scenes look at the multi-million dollar assets, right? The executive summary, that's kind of again, just a brief biography. The company description, it could be a real company or a made up company. The product itself is the show in this case, and kind of explains what the show is. Now, in this case, he's using this company, which I don't really know too much about, but nonetheless, that's okay though. Some of these companies are new. It's just a matter of if you can kind of explain what they are, right? Now, this one, it's founded in 2009 to help film and small to medium-sized film distributors, sales agents, dependent producers, things like that. And just kind of explains, like, as he says here, Amazon and more can be added for $250 per outlet and get 100% of receipts. Now, again, maybe a little bit more detail could have been provided there. Okay, then he talks about marketing and promotion, social media, which we'll actually talk a little bit more about next week, about social media marketing and things like that. But you want to talk about your marketing strategy. Once again, these things can repeat. So this one was actually pretty good. It was a pretty good idea for a show, but some of the stuff he could have even gone into a little bit more detail, especially with the manufacturing and distribution a little bit more there. Although it's not bad though. Okay, and that might be all the examples I have. So let's go right into the attendance questions here. So for you on-campus students, once again, this question comes up sometimes from online students that might be listening to this, maybe on the archives. This is only for the on-campus students, okay? The online students do not have to answer this. This little attendance assignment here takes the place of a couple other classes that got removed actually, because it used to actually be 14 classes, now it's just 12. So as a result, they make the on-campus students attend the go-to sessions and make them answer these questions. So you online students, you don't have to worry about this. And this is real easy anyways, but let's go through these, okay. Number one, how many blog posts will you need to submit? Of course, the answer is 2, right? Some other classes, it's 1, but for this class, it's 2. Number 2, what can you discuss in your posts? And here, let me go ahead here and I'll even type in the answers for you, okay? So there's 2 for number 1. What can you discuss in your posts? Anything related to the entertainment world, right? Anything that's going on in entertainment business. Okay? It does not have to relate to this class. Number 3, is it acceptable to submit your blogs by links, hard copy, or both? Well, the answer to that would be either, basically, either. But actually for you online students, if possible, try, just for the sake of simplicity, just go ahead and, even if you're going to submit a link, just go ahead and put that on a Microsoft Word document and submit that through FSO. Just because if you try to send them through email, sometimes, I mean, most of the time it's going to be fine, but just to avoid any kind of, in case like we forget or something like that, or it gets lost in the inbox, just go ahead and just submit it through FSO. Just copy and paste the link. You don't have to, copy the text or anything like that, but just copy and paste the link to your blog. And also, I will just say, just because this came up today, and just for the purposes of next month's class, because Kristen was asking about this, try not to put your blogs on Google Plus, just because, I'm not sure with exactly how Google Plus works. I mean, I know what it is, but I don't know how I don't use it that often. But Kristen was saying that some student from last month was putting their blogs on Google Plus, and it doesn't transfer over well to the assignment that you have to do next month. So just make sure that you have your blog on like some kind of site. All right, so as opposed to just putting it on Google Plus. Are both posts due at the same time? Well, yes, but if you do one today and you send an email and you do one tomorrow, that's fine. But if that's the case though, try to just do one today, put it on a Microsoft Word document, and then do the one tomorrow and put that on the same document and then send the one document. So that's probably the best way to answer that. But yes, they are due at the same time, right? How long should the post be? Remember, at least 300 words, right? Are sources and citations required? Well, put it this way, technically no, but it's not just no, it's no, or put it this way, not necessarily, but if a source is used, then it must be cited, right? That's a good way to answer that question. And pretty much I would say in the vast majority of blogs, pretty much you almost always, not always, but very often you do use some kind of outside source. Usually it's not just kind of stream of conscious writing that you do for your blogs. Usually you're basing it on some kind of article that you read or something. So in most cases, you do use some kind of external source. So you just have to cite that basically. And you don't have to do like MLA or APA. You can just literally copy and paste the URL. That's fine. Or if you're HTML savvy or just web savvy in general, and you want to, like on your blog, if you put like a link and you can link that article within the text, then you can do that as well. That's fine, just as long as you're citing it in some way, right? So technically there's no sources required for that, but if you do use sources, which most people do, then make sure that it's cited, okay? Number 7, in project 3, what is the purpose of the business strategy? And the answer to this is kind of a succinct way to put this is to explain how you can get the content either out there and published, and self-published and distributed. Basically you're trying to get your stuff out there doing it yourself, if that makes sense. Whereas project 2 was about getting it out there, but with the use of an agent, right? So project 3 is getting it out there, but doing it yourself. So self-publishing, self-distribution. Okay, number 8. Okay, the business strategy has many of the same sections as of what? The answer is, of course, a business plan. It does have it's very close to a business plan, right? The difference though is that, remember, like for the mission statement, you're doing the mission for the content, not the business. But still though, it does have very much the same kind of format as a business plan. It has the same sections. It has like a marketing strategy. It has executive summary. It has a conclusion, things like that, and target audience, things. So it does have a lot of the same sections as a business plan, although it's slightly different, but still though, nonetheless, right? Number 9, what is the page requirement for the business plan? The answer is there is none, right? But one little sort of caveat with that though, one little warning, is that there's no page requirement, but in general, I can just tell you, the students that do well in this project tend to have theirs come in about 4 to 5 pages, right? Or at least 3 to 4 pages, we'll say single spaced or something like that, right? Usually the more detail that you can provide, particularly in the manufacturing and distribution section, the better that you will do on this project. And I really can't emphasize that enough. If you really want to get an A, then try to pay real close attention to that manufacturing and distribution strategy and try to be as detailed as possible. Talk about the cost per unit. Talk about your royalty rates that you're going to get with the print-on-demand company. Talk about the distribution channels that your print-on-demand company will give you. things like that. The more detail that you can provide, the better that you're going to do on project 3. But that being said, the answer to number 9 is there is none, right? And then number 10, where can you find a template of the business strategy? Well, you could provide one, of course, in the resources, the course resources, the references, whatever you want to call it. You can also find one in the textbook, right? Or in the appendix of the textbook, right? And that pretty much answers. And I saw that Corey just stepped in, so welcome, Corey. But unfortunately, we're about done here. But I'm going to go ahead and try to put this in the archives. If you are coming in late or you're watching this later in the archives, we had some technical problems in the beginning. So what I'm going to do is that first of all, assuming that this archives okay, I'll try to cut that first part out. And then second of all, if you're coming in late or just a heads up, we've been having a lot of trouble with the archives lately just because the files are becoming so large for some reason in the last, we'll say, month and a half or so. I'm not sure if it's a go-to session problem or if it can't be a networking problem. So I don't know what the problem is. So we've been having some trouble with the archives. But that being said, if you're ever having trouble with the archives, then keep in mind that you can always go back to a previous month. They're pretty much all the same. Anytime that we change material, then we'll always go back and we'll change the archives and we'll get new archives up. So you can always go back and check out some of the old archives. At this point, they're all the same, pretty much. And that being said, we'll still try to put this one up tonight. And then also just a heads up to next week's session, and there'll be an announcement about this as well. But next week's go-to session will not be on Tuesday, just because I have to go out to UCF Tuesday night. But it'll probably be on Wednesday night, probably 6 o'clock. But just look for an announcement about that. So that's just a heads up. So at this point, let me just ask in the chat box here, does anybody have any last minute questions before we go ahead and close this out for tonight? And of course, if something comes up later and you're not sure, then just feel free to send an email to Kim or I. I know that this is kind of a weird week with the Hall of Fame because you on-campus students, like, we're done, right? Ordinarily, we see you guys tomorrow and also Friday, but because of the Hall of Fame, we don't have class the rest of this week, actually. So we just have class next Monday. So that being said, remember that the Project 3 isn't due until the end of the session, or at the end of the month, I should say. So you still don't have anything due this week, with the exception of the blogs for you online students and the discussion, of course. But Project 3 is not due this Sunday, so you still have an extra week, right? So so just keep that in mind. But that being said, if anything comes up before then, if you have any questions, just feel free to let Kim or I know, and we'll be happy to answer anything that you might have. Okay, so if that's it, I'll go ahead and I will close this down. I'll try to put up the archives, and I want to thank everybody for attending. Jacques, Corey, and Jesse, and like I said, we'll see you guys next Wednesday night at the go-to session. You on-campus students will see you Monday, right? So I guess that's it. It looks like there's no questions on the board, so I'm going to go ahead here and let me go ahead here and stop the recording right now.